Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am teaming up with HAI Supply and Pearblossom Press for a blog hop collaboration, and I just so happen to have a video to go along. I know you're shocked. So let's go ahead and take a look at the products we'll be using today. So I am going to be making a light up card, which means that I need one of my easy lights. If you've watched me before, I've done a couple cards with these already and I love them. So we're going to be making an easy light, and that's from Pearblossom Press. And then we're also going to be using these awesome supplies from HAI Supply. So these are the embellishments. Those are the Clear Heart Droplets and the Super Dazzle Stars. We're also going to be using this gold foil spots washi tape along with this gorgeous Japanese handmade washi paper. This is set 1, and this is the paper that I'm going to be using. I went ahead and cut this down to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And I had to pair these up with some fun stamps, so I have the Heffy Doodle Absotoothly Awesome Stamps and Dies, along with the Interactively Yours stamp set. This is perfect for interactive cards. And then we're going to be using these stitched circle dies as well. So let's go ahead and get started with our card. I will start with the stamping. I won't show you the coloring because that would take up a bit of time, but I'm going to be stamping each of my little fairies onto some Express It cardstock using Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to do 2 of the little fairies that are looking straight on, and then each of the other 2. So we'll have 4 total fairies, and then we'll have 4 total wands. I'm going to take those again, and I'm going to stamp them onto a scrap of that washi paper because I plan to paper piece their little dresses. I just had to do it. I was just itching to put those onto onto each of the little fairies. I wanted their little dresses to match the background, and I thought this was the perfect way to do it. And so I'm kind of manipulating how I want that. And here they are all colored. You notice I didn't color their dresses. And now I'm just going to line up the dies, the matching dies, and I'll tack that down with a little bit of washi tape. And then I'll send that through my die cutting machine. And here I am going to fussy cut out each of their little dresses, which honestly wasn't a big deal. These are tiny little dresses, so it didn't take any time at all. And so I'll cut each of those out, making sure to keep the little black lines pretty well. If you end up cutting those off, you can use a black marker to bring those back in. And then I'll use my little Zig pen, my Zig glue pen, along with my jewel picker, and I'll stick that down. So here's her little dress on there. It matches so perfectly because obviously it's the background paper. And I'll do that for each one of those. Now this one little fairy that I'm going to be doing here, her dress had to be cut from 2 separate pieces because her arm is right in the middle. So I'll grab each of those tiny little pieces and I'll just tack those down. And then I'll do the same thing with this final little fairy, is put her dress on top of her as well. I love that because it just adds this cohesion between the papers, on their dress and in the background. And here's how they look all paper pieced. So cute. Who wouldn't love a little dress that had that pattern on it? I've kind of placed things where I want them. And now I'm going to pull out that Interactively Yours stamp set. And I'm going to bring the Push Me stamp. It's real tiny. But I did cut out of some white cardstock some circles using the stitched circle dies. I'll stamp Push Me on that smallest circle because that's going to go in that lower right hand corner. And then we're going to stamp I Miss You onto the big circle. Now nothing is tacked down yet, it's just kind of placed there. So we will start tacking it down now using a little bit of Nuvo Deluxe glue. I'll tack that down onto the washi paper. Thankfully this hasn't dried yet because I decided that's too far down. So I'm just going to pick that up and move that. And there is a little bit of glue on that washi paper, but that will be covered by one of my fairies. So I'll cover her with some glue and stick her down. And then I'm going to glue down her wand as well. I am going to avoid the star tip of her wand because I plan to do some die cutting. I'll show you here in a second. But we'll get each of our little fairies glued down to where I want them. I have really been enjoying making these type of interactive cards because they're very easy. It has to be easy for me to want to do it. Because if I have to think about it too much, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, I may try it, but I like to sit down and just start creating. So these easy lights make it super easy, hence the name, right? All right, so here's what I'm talking about. This matching die set has this really cool little die right here, and that goes right over the top of their wands. And I'm going to tack that down with a little bit of purple tape Just making sure that it's not too tacky. I don't want it to tear my washi paper. And then I'll run that through my die cutting machine and I'll show you how it cuts out not only a little dot from our wand, but also some little sprays from around the wand. And then I'll do that for the other two little fairies, so that way we've got, it goes through all the way to the back. And this is where our light's going to come in. I'll trim off the excess of the paper, and then I'm going to bring in the easy light. So this is, no joke, super easy. I'm going to take one of those, just break it apart, and then I will grab one of the batteries from the pack. And the batteries have a plus and minus like all batteries do. And on the little mechanism itself, it tells you where the plus goes, where the minus goes. So all I will do when I get the packaging put away, I want to make sure I don't lose anything. So everything goes back in the packaging almost right away. And then I will take my battery and I'll line it up. And then I'll just stick it in there on the side it goes in. And then you just press the little purple button and there you have it. That's how easy it is to get that started. Now to attach it to the back, I'm going to use a little bit of double-sided tape. That way I can make sure that that's not going anywhere. This is just some 1/4 inch score tape. I'll peel off the release paper on that and then I'll tack that down. And my lights will keep working. I'll keep testing them to make sure everything's working properly. And then here's where I'm going to take my little push me and I'm going to glue that right down to where I would want the recipient to push. It's perfect. Love it. So push, push, and there it is. And now the next part. This is how, I mean, it just cracks me up just how easy these are. I'll take each of those little lights and I'm going to stick those right over the top of the hole that I want them in. Now Amanda, the owner of Pearblossom Press, she uses just straight Scotch tape. I don't actually have any, surprise, but I take my washi and I will tack it down as close as I possibly can to where I want that light to be because I don't want it to move. And I'm not even concerned about the wires underneath. I just want to tack that down. The only thing I wouldn't want is for my wires to go over the openings. So I'm just tacking down those lights, making sure those are stuck pretty much right in the center. And then I'll take the rest of that washi tape and I'll just wind up my wires. It's going to look kind of ugly back there, but that doesn't matter. And then I'll just tack that down with washi tape. You could use whatever kind of tape you have. And there you go. Their little wands light up. And it just amazes me every time. All right, I have Scotch foam tape and I've doubled that up, but I know that Amanda has some foam tape in her store that works perfectly for it. So next time I'm in need of that, I'm going to buy it from her. But I've just doubled that up and then I will cut it strategically and put that all over the back, just avoiding the openings. It doesn't even matter if it goes over the top of the wires. My card base is a 130-pound weight card base, so it's very heavy. And I've scored that at 4 1/4 inches, so it is a side folding A2 size card. I'll peel off all of my release paper on my foam tape, making sure everything of course works still. And then I'll just peel off all that release paper. And then I'll tack that down to the front very, very carefully. I just want to make sure that I don't screw it up. So I'm going to line that up as best I can, kind of just lining up the corners, the top corners first. And then I'll ever so gingerly tack down the rest of it. And there we go. It's still working beautifully. I love that. I'm going to grab that washi tape. I wish I had thought to put it down first, but I actually love the way this ends up turning out. So I tore it and I'm lining it up on my glass mat and I'll just tack down that washi tape. The beautiful thing about washi tape is it's usually pretty forgiving. And I love how that matches with the gold foiling on that washi paper. And then I'll turn that over and I'll trim off the excess of the washi tape. And then we have to do the inside. We just have to because it's me. I have to. I have a scrap of that left over washi paper. Don't want any of that to go to waste. So I'm going to eventually put that in. I tore some more of my washi tape, lining it up with my glass mat. I'll tack it down, trim off the excess. And then I'll use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere down that other strip of washi paper just below it so there's some cohesion from the outside to the inside. And then I have my last little fairy. She's going to go on there too, but before I put her down I am going to do a little bit of stamping. So I've grabbed the word fairy from the stamp set, and I'm going to ink that up with some Distress Oxide in the color Blueprint Sketch. I'll stamp it down, and then I'll stamp the other little sentiment that says much with black ink. So it says fairy much, and then I'll glue down my other little fairy. For my embellishments, I am grabbing out those clear heart droplets, and I'll put those into this little container. This little container is actually from the Twiddler's Nook. And I'm going to stick those down over the top of each of their little wands, just with a little bit of glue along with my jewel picker. And just kind of going around in a circle there. And I love how these jewels are really going to make the lights be even brighter if that's possible. And if you haven't checked out HAI Supply embellishments, they have a ton in there. They have tons of washi tape, and they have the washi paper. But if you're an embellishment fiend like I am, yeah, you want to go check them out. So I'll have them linked down below, of course. But I can't stop there. I had to bring in those little Dazzle stars, Super Dazzle stars. I'll put those in another little container. And these, I don't know, they kind of remind me of those like 1950s little stars, because there's only 4 points to them. I'm going to put one of them in each of the centers of the flowers. So I'll just put a tiny little drop in each of the centers, and I'll use my jewel picker to pick up the little stars and stick those down. And then we're going to go ahead and bring in a few more for around the sentiment that says, I miss you. So I'll put 3 drops down there, and I'll put the little stars, and I feel like that just really, really makes it, oh my goodness. I am looking at that sentiment, and I know that because the inside and the outside are supposed to go together, I will fix that here in a second. But I'm just tacking those stars down, and I love them. Oh my goodness. Love them. And they really shine. So I have this other little tab. Amanda was showing us this way that you can make it so the mechanism isn't always on, so when you send it in the mail. So I've cut that down to be about 1 inch, and then I put Pull Me on it, and I'm going to stick that in between the battery and the mechanism, so that way when I press the Push Me, it won't actually light up. I'm going to put 3 little dots with I Miss You, and then 3 little dots with Very Much, and then I'll show you how it works. I love this. I'm so happy with how this turned out, and those papers are gorgeous, the embellishments are fantastic, and I love the light up card. So if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as I said, this is a part of a blog hop, so be sure to head to my blog, which I will have linked down below, so that you don't miss any of the hoppers, so that you can hop along and see what everybody else has made. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.